Hi, and welcome everyone to the Intelligent Industry stage here at Capgemini at Hannover Messe. Hopefully you guys all had a chance to enjoy some lunch, maybe a little fresh air, hopefully a little coffee afterwards to keep the energy going, because we have a very exciting topic coming up next on sustainable product design. So I won't bore you anymore with me up here, and I'll quickly introduce our two guests. We have Pina Schloms from Siemens, as well as Dr. Dorothy Pullman from Capgemini. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for being here and listening to this very interesting topic. So as you said already, it's about sustainable product design. And I'm here with Pina, and as you see, our motto, so systems engineering meets the digital world, makes perfectly sense here for us. And we let you know why, and this is our topic for today. So when we speak about sustainable products, I will give you the reason why. So you know, every company, ourselves and also our clients, they need to reduce their carbon emissions, their environmental emissions dramatically. You see it here, net zero is either 2040, 2050, and it seems like it's ages in the future, but it's not, right? If you think of a plane, a car, a train, the lifetime of a product, a new product needs the decision today. So as you see, the as-is emissions for our companies, for our clients, are very high. So, and when we understand up to 99% originates from products and the supply chain, it gets very clear that we need to act on the product, that we need to change something on the products to make our clients and also ourselves truly net zero. And then the second figure I have with me is the 80%. So 80% of those emissions, the as-is emissions, are decided within the design stage. Not existing products, so really in the design stage to be more sustainable, ideally net zero. So, and Pina, can you let us know, when we speak about products, what are the levers to be more sustainable?
Yeah, so thanks, Doro, for painting the picture for us. What's the backdrop, and what's also the timeline that our clients, the industry, faces when looking into where we stand today and where are we heading in the race to net zero. So, as we learned, 80% is the big lever that we have in the design stage. So, how can we address it? Now, I've brought with me 6 ones that are standing as an example here. Now, we'll be touching upon how all these levers can be used through an engineering approach, a holistic engineering approach with the technology that Siemens brings to bring this to life, right? Targets are more easily set. Operationalizing, realizing the targets that we want to achieve, that is the interesting and challenging part. So resource efficiency, decarbonization, energy efficiency, circularity, innovative material solutions, but also production methods can be used to make products more flexible, but also more reliable as a whole. Now, when we look at what's the challenge that comes from, now we have all those levers, but the bigger picture is that we need to balance striving for sustainability with the more traditional optimization criteria that we used to, right? So time, cost, quality are optimization criteria that we've been perfecting for hundreds of years, right? But today we have compliance, right? That comes from new regulation and fees and sustainability ambitions coming to that picture. So that this optimization triangle that we all know opens up to a pentagon. And as we can see in the picture here, all those criteria are interlinked and interdependent. Now, the potential lies in us mastering that transition and understanding all the cause and effect chains between all those criteria. Because in the decisions we make, they can be competing, but they can also be supporting each other, having synergetic effects. Now, we want to be optimizing and leveraging the potential that lies in those synergetic effects. In order to do that, we need to understand all those intersections and how these cause and effect chains play out on the entire life cycle of products. So, Doro, why don't you take us through what does it mean in the engineering approach, how can we address that?
Yes, wonderful. So the picture you saw before, this addresses also the, let's say, the corporate world, right? So compliance, cost, quality, time. So you know this also from a corporate perspective. But as you said it right, we need to think, coming back, we need to think about products. We need to address products. And you see here the entire supply chain for products. And usually, and in the past, companies are only looking for the white parts because this addresses their own operations. But it's not sufficient. Companies are responsible for the entire value chain, and also the levers are in the entire value chain and supply chain. Hence, addressing products need an understanding, and as you said, yes, it's complex, but it needs an understanding about the entire value stream, really from the raw materials till the end of life. Why? If you think about what you said, Pina, about circularity, right? If you have the end of life, and ideally it's not end of life, we have a second life or a third life, and this in business models and in products. The products need to be designed considering all those life cycle stages at the beginning. And this is complex, but as we also know, once you understand really this complexity and you can handle this complexity, so we can think about also about new circular business models, because the beauty and the magic and the disruptions will come also from circularity. Yeah, and you see here they are now not as a linear economy; they are ordered in a circle, and this is about talking about opportunities. It's not a threat. You need to report. You need to do X, Y, Z. No, we need to speak about opportunities. And Pina, I'm very thrilled, so I'm so happy being here today with Pina. Please let us know, handling this complexity, how can this work?
Yes, thanks, Sarah. So the approach we take is that the decisions we want to make to meet the timelines, but also the scale of impact that we want to achieve, is with a data-driven approach. Because with that approach, we can be confident and be conscious that the decisions that we take really take the effect in the measures that we want to realize to bring us to our goals. Now, that is the approach that we're taking in the digital world, and how that realizes in effect in the real world is by taking that into consideration to have the confidence with sustainable engineering that our products and systems meet our goals that we have set ourselves holistically. Now, how this comes to life is, as you can see here on the left side, so with the power of the digital enterprise, we can capture, right from the start, we model the system, all the aspects that make up our product that we want to design, redesign, optimize for sustainability, to capture all the relevant criteria that are interlinked not only within the product, but also its entire ecosystem across the lifetime. So that guides our design decision making, right? And then we can leverage technologies like generative design approaches, where we have topology optimization coming into play, where we can find really new ways of finding forms and shapes that meet our physical performance needs, but optimize for the material that is used and the physical performance that it needs to have. Now, of course, we can do all kinds of fancy designs in the virtual world, but how do we make sure that it meets the constraints that we have in the real world? Well, that's where multi-phasing simulation comes into play, right? So this is where we model the entire environment, right, with all its strains and stresses that the real world product will have to endure in the virtual world, so we can stress test and validate that the designs that we have extrapolated in this step before really meet our requirements in the real world. Now, how that comes into play in a real example is what Dora is going to share with us now.
Yes, thank you. And my mic is still working. That's good. So those being here on the fair probably last year or the years before, you might remember our drone, right? So it's a physical product developed in the virtual world, but it was not connected at all to sustainability. And now, I mean, we took the same challenge as our clients are doing and say, okay, let's start with an existing product. How can we make this product more sustainable? How would we be able to measure if it's more sustainable after the redesign, right? And this is so important that we have the tools given by Siemens to make a quantified redesign and a quantified measure that we're actually improving the sustainability KPIs. And what you see here, so what we need to do is to take the product as it is and to have measures on the product to show this is the carbon footprint, these are other sustainable and environmental KPIs, and to know where we need to work on. And as you see here, so this is, I don't know how many people we have from our clients, they're doing life cycle assessments. What does this mean? So really, as we said at the beginning, from the beginning, raw materials till end of life, to have a quantified view where the emissions come from. And it's a little bit tiny, but then you can do analysis. And we'll find, for example, so this is the tail, and we have also the body of the drone. We found out we do have an issue here. It's again my mic, I'm sorry. We do have an issue in the sense that we know that those, so you see it here slightly, those blue bars, these are driving heavily the carbon footprint of the drone. So we know by quantification of the emissions what we need to do. So what we did was to say, okay, let's pick, and this is what we can do with your beautiful tools, just to pick in an X, for example, we pick the part and say, okay, what can we do? So the first, let's say, easy thing, and you can see it also here on our stage here, beneath the stage. So let's pick the tail in this example, and we play around. And the first step, we play around with materials. And what we did here, it's too tiny to move from aluminum, so which is a great material, but it's emission heavy, so why don't we go to plastic and even more to bioplastic? So this is what we can do easily. So you will have it, and you can see it here as well. So an easy menu, and to say, okay, let's easily, and this is the first thing we can do. It's really easy. Every engineer can do that and say, okay, it's a different material. What is the impact? And you see here immediately, it's not rocket science, I would say. It's easily done. That the bio-based material, it's the better one. So then you can ask yourself, okay, then we're not done. For sure we're not done. So you need to iterate again to say, okay, you can do all the simulations and also the analysis you mentioned to say, okay, is this material stable enough, long-lasting enough? Is it reliable enough? So you can do all those analysis and go back and say, okay, is this my future material? And the same on the overall design as such. But this is not the end. So if you remember the whole topic around the whole value chain, really raw material till end of your life, you have also your supply chain in between. Let's think about a vehicle. So let's take, I don't know, Tesla, why not? And they procure parts from different other suppliers. So they need to take care about what are the emissions coming from the supply chain. Yes, it's the design, but coupled with the supply chain. Also here we have your solution where you can easily see, okay, what is the carbon footprint of the suppliers? You can easily track, you can ask for the certification, and then together, and this is really a key piece here, really engage your ecosystem. Net zero will not happen only with one company. So really you need to engage along the value chain. And so we did it here for the drone. It's our product, let's say. But what we did, so really every company can do, it's not, let's say, the rocket science for the experts. So it's really something for every engineer. And also the easy steps, this is the reason I brought this with me. So it's feasible, and every company should do this because this is the lever, right?
Yes.
So, and to summarize, really, you will see it, you will hear it, so I'm really thrilled. So yes, sustainability indeed starts with the data. You need to do something with your valuable data, what you have in your company, but let's speak engineering. It's about the products.
Well, thanks, Dora, for sharing that tangible example. And I mean, the way we from Siemens want to bring this to life in our systems is that you shared that sustainability expertise, right? today we need to be frank that not every team is sustainability experts, but we want to enable every team to take decisions towards sustainability. So the approach we've been taking is that we want to democratize sustainability by embedding the capabilities that we need to be able to quantify the decision making. What are the impacts? We've been talking a lot about sustainability impacts, but of course, when we look at the beginning, of course, we also want to know what are the profitability impacts, what are the cost impacts. So that is something that we want to keep in balance, and that's how we have embedded, right? You've been seeing the capabilities for design engineers to take that decision to see, okay, what happens if I change something in the design that I'm working with, in the environment that I'm used to working with, right? I can easily see now what is the impact on sustainability KPIs, but also on cost KPIs. And this is what the approach we've been taking to making that available, not only in design, for product engineering, in the production process, in supply chain, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Because we need to scale sustainability action, not only within our companies, but as you've been saying, across the entire ecosystem.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
Pina, thank you so much, and thank you all for being here and listening, and we hope that you take the pieces to your clients in your own company and really start. I think it's about starting the journey. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pina.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from the audience? No? We have one question.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Pina and Dorothea. I have a question. Do you have a use case in the automotive or in another sector?
Yes. So I can start. You can add. So probably to start with a drone. What you saw here was that we started with an existing product, and as I said, it's very important that companies start redesigning. But what we did in the automotive industry was to take really, Pina, what you said, from the requirements. There was no existing product, so we designed the Citroën Ami at that time. And if you guys probably saw this vehicle on the street, it's a funny vehicle. Why? Because Citroën at that time set the requirements to say, okay, this is the requirements, and you will design at that time it was a mobility solution. It was not called vehicle, because starting at the requirements, it gives you the freedom, as you said, Pina, to really leverage the 80%, to have a truly sustainable product at the end. And this is what we did as Capgemini, really from the requirements till the physical product. It was built, and now you see it in series. Thanks for this question.
All right.
Yeah, maybe I can add to that. So, I mean, that is of course the ideal situation, that you really have, as to say, greenfield product design for sustainability. But I mean, frankly speaking, lots of it is redesigning, optimizing existing designs to make them more sustainable, right? And this is exactly, it starts with having a transparency on the as-is, the baseline. Right? And this is where you can then identify where are the hotspots in the entire product lifecycle of the product that I'm looking at. Is it in the materials? Is it in the production process? Is it in the supply chain? Without having that information, I'm guessing. I'm using the trial error approach, and I might be optimizing something that only contributes like 0.0%, 1% to the overall impact, right? So it's really doing that exercise first. And this is always where we work with our customers, enabling them to have that transparency. And then it is, for the one, it's the material. If you look at a component, maybe it's the overall system. But if you understand the contribution each component asset has to the overall product, that's how you can best optimize with effective measures.
Yes, and probably to add that, so you're fully right, this is usually the way we start. Coming back to your question, so what we did for also one of our clients was exactly that, to work first simply on the materials, to say, okay, parts of the vehicle, we have a look, and we're doing the same like for the drone, going to more sustainable, to green materials, and to see what the effect is on the entire vehicle. So that's the usual way. I fully agree. Let's start here. And once people are getting used to include sustainability by design, that it's the same KPI like others as well, then you can do the, let's say, the greenfield approach. But indeed, we have both, and it's always beautiful to go this journey with our clients.
All right, I believe we have one last question here.
Thanks a lot for the very nice presentation. I have a question regarding the technicality of this implementation. So we talk about engineering, about assessment. It's a lot of technical work. We need a lot of concrete expertise on that. What are the key elements that our clients need in order to implement in collaboration with the management? So how this can be communicated and communicated back to them correctly without missing important information.
Yes.
Thank you.
So would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So as you say, it's bringing together what is our goal, what is our overall strategy, how do we operationalize this, and not only what are the tools that you need for that, but also the know-how and expertise, right? You can have the best tools if you don't know how to use them, they're of little use. So and this is really where I see the understanding, okay, what are the tools that you need, where do you need them, and which expertise you need, right? And this is something where I think the complementary collaboration really comes into play, because of course our systems are very powerful, but they only bring you the value that they have embedded in them when you know how to use them. And this is really where the core expertise of Dora and her teams comes in, and how you bring that to life. Maybe you want to share that.
And probably one thing to add, looking on the time, it's transparency we create, right?
Yeah.
Transparency, and you said it really well. When you have the transparency, you can go to your management, you can go to the designers, whatever, and say, okay, this is the benefit we'll create. Yeah. So you need to have the boldness, the tools, the methods, and let's say the openness also from the top management to transform. So thank you very much. I'm looking on the time. I think somebody will interrupt me.
No, thank you guys very much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.